Hello, I'm Mario Nuri, thanking you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us for our program, A Familiar Walk. We are delighted to have as our special guest, Her Excellency, Dame Ivy Dumont, first female Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. On the program, A Familiar Walk, we are delighted to have as our special guest the first female Governor General of the Bahamas, Her Excellency, Dame Ivy Dumont, first female Governor General of the Bahamas. Your Excellency, we thank you for taking time out to be with us on our program today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Your Excellency, 30 years ago, Bahamians of all ages assembled in their thousands to celebrate the birth of a new nation. Since independence, we have gone through 6 national elections, and we have had 2 changes in government, all in an atmosphere of peace and civility. Your Excellency, a moment for the positive accomplishments that has been achieved over the last 32 years in an independent Bahamas.
I think we have, over the last several years, made progress in 2 major areas. The first, of course, is, as you mentioned, the political, and the second is the economic. In the political arena, I believe we have outstanding results in terms of not only holding elections, but also of changing the governments. There's been absolutely no problem in moving from one administration to another, and I believe that our country may be unique in that regard. Secondly, I think that over these several years we've made tremendous progress economically. Sometimes I think maybe to our detriment. Of course, that's a very hard one to discuss. We've made progress both in New Providence and in the Family Islands, and of course Freeport is a unique economic center. Overall, our people, I believe, have far more expendable cash. We certainly live in homes that have been purchased by significant amounts of money. I believe also that we have more people going off to shop than we used to have before, but then we have larger numbers of people in our community. I would think that on the other side, and this is the social side, which would normally go along with the political, the economic, and religious, we have not been as successful as we might have been, and it is one of the reasons that over these 4 years I have adopted as one of my objectives to always speak out on behalf of the family.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, do you mind taking a stroll with us down the pathway of your roles, such as being leader of the government in the Senate, Minister of Health and Environment from 1992 to 2000, and Chairman of the Public Service Commission before succeeding Sir Orville Turnquest as Governor General?
I was indeed Minister of Health from 1992 to 1995, and then I was Minister of Education from 1995 to 2001. The road there was very interesting, to say the least, because I had no experience or knowledge of health. And so I had to make the effort to be a quick learner because, as you know, every specialty has its own language. The developments of the time were such that we were able to accomplish a few major objectives, but I was not at health long enough, I don't think, to make a very significant impact. Among the changes that were made, there was the development of one or two areas of the hospital, particularly as regards administration, maintenance, supplies, and the like. Secondly, I was able, I believe, to establish the kind of relationships between persons who have need to work with one another that I thought were missing. And we established what we referred to as the health cabinet. So the leaders from the various departments met with me regularly so that we could all know what one another were doing and also to set some guidance as to what should happen next. In education, I came into my own, I would think, because I was very familiar with the whole process, having been a part of the system for so many years. Nonetheless, it took a little while before we were able to adopt the policies and practices that would allow us to progress to the levels that I had hoped we would. And over the first year or so, there was a lot of work to do to establish those relationships and to establish the protocols. But once they were done, I do believe we made significant progress in education to the extent that the professionals understood that my role was a political one. There were administrators in the persons of the permanent secretary and her deputies and assistants, and that the professional officers, who were the director and her support staff, needed to get on with the job, that I would not interfere with them in getting their job done because that was their role, but I did hold them to account by reviewing what the political objectives were and to determine that they had accomplished what we'd set out to do any given period. That was a very interesting time for me because I felt comfortable in that environment. I then went on to the Public Service Commission, where I stayed very briefly, but it was simply a continuation of the sort of work that I had done before, both as a professional in the education system and as an administrator, and of course subsequently as a member of the Senate. Now, you asked about the Senate. That was an interesting period. It sounds funny to tell it now, but at the time the Prime Minister asked me about being a member of the government, that is to be a minister, I didn't really connect that I had to be a senator because I had not been elected to the House. And so it was hours after I had agreed that it dawned on me that there was another role. And that, of course, was the Senate.